Hey, what's happening, everyone? Pragmatic Addict here. So, when this film got its trailer, it got some controversy, which I get it. I did not read the script, but from what I just experienced, and from what one of my friends was telling me that went and saw it with me, apparently the movie was much more toned down than the script, which is public online. It's been up there for several years. But other than the controversy surrounding the film, the other big talk about it, the other only talk really, was just the unexpected turn from Jenna Ortega taking on this role, which from what I was hearing from pretty much everyone was the only reason to really want to see this film, myself included. And with all those things going into mind, I saw one of the only showings my city had. I don't know if this is everywhere, but my city only has one theater playing this movie with 2 showings a night. So guys, let's just get into this fucking rabbit hole. So what I'll say right off the bat is that this film starts, in my opinion, about as cliche and as sappy as I was expecting as far as where it was targeted. And that, in my opinion, is that this film basically feels like if Lifetime did an R-rated VOD film for fans of 50 Shades of Grey, which I was surprised when I went and saw this with my 2 best friends, and we saw how many seats were taken in this theater. We were like, what the fuck? Nobody even knows about this movie. It's not playing in theaters. Hell, the only reason why I know about it is because I'm a movie critic and I live my life on YouTube. But there was a lot of seats taken in this theater, which, unsurprisingly, they were pretty much all college girls. But what bummed me out, the most, kind of immediately, was actually the fact of, Jenna Ortega being in this film. With how much controversy and risk is going into this film and this role, and how credible and, known and well, respected her work is, I was just so excited and really interested to see just what she, of all people, would bring to all movies like this one. But sadly, this is just a case where almost immediately you can see very clearly with how busy she is and how much credible work, again, she has to her name, that this is just another paycheck. And that as far as the marketing for this film, it was just attaching that name, Jenna Ortega, to this film. That, that's all she really had going for this movie, and that's really all this movie had going for it. Also, just immediately, there's a lot of things where I say but just immediately, but this really just is, all in all, just the movie as itself. But as far as how fast I picked up on it, yeah, pretty immediately, the whole tone of it, it does have that sappy, melodramatic, lukewarm, cringe, erotic aroma to it that just reeks of being incredibly fucking sloppy and hammy. Also, just as direction, the film just does really have just extremely out of place, little quips of what could be awkward or risque, dark humor. Which, speaking of comedy, throughout the time of knowing about this film, knowing enough about it and seeing the trailer and seeing that it was listed as a comedy thriller, I was like, why the fuck is any of this considered comedic? How is any of this comedy? This is not comedy. And then I saw the movie, guys, and fuck me. Guys, this is a fucking comedy, and for all the wrong reasons. First off, the script here. Fucking don't even... The whole theater, the entire theater, again, for the most part, was full of the target audience that this film seemed to be aimed for. They were laughing the entire time. Holy shit. This movie was a hoot and a fucking holler, dude. The whole theater became fucking friends. As well as just the shameful, cringy embarrassment of what this film is. It was entertaining, to say that. In that regard, it was entertaining with my audience. I mean, from the fucking music choices in this film to the whole, writer aspect narrative of Jenna Ortega's character, this piece that she's writing, this character that she's playing, to the try-hard one-liners and the controversial character outline of Jenna Ortega's character, Cairo, and her friend, as well as this teacher, Mr. Miller, with this other teacher that's I think he's a fucking coach or something. Just how embarrassingly sloppy, and again, just honestly fucking unintentionally and unignorably laughable. They land in that morbid, masochistic curiosity of like, how far is this film really gonna go? Like, once this film really gets started, because again, guys, this is pretty much the entire film. Like, little did I know. But this still was just my initial thoughts of this movie, as well as the pacing of this film. Like, this growing relationship. We'll say that loosely, but that relationship between Cairo and Mr. Miller and just the buildup of that. And outside of all of these wacky, backwards ass aspect, when the film isn't all of this bullshit, it is just fucking boring and dry and such a nothing picture. And just how the chemistry between Cairo and Mr. Miller and Cairo's friend and this other teacher, just how they act around each other and the settings that these nonsensical scenarios like are taking place in, it is just so fucking unrealistic and unbelievable and uncomfortable and such an impossible to ignore and unintentionally comical way. Like I said, guys, this movie was packed with the type of target audience that I could, if anything, see this movie being like rooted for. Not only was everybody laughing so hard during this movie, but after the movie is over, I heard so many people, so many of the audience say to their friends and shit, that did not fucking happen. That was not real. We did not just see this movie. Like, it really did just feel like everyone that did show up to, like, my showing, they all just showed up to just see how bad this movie was gonna turn out. Like, it is unreal. There is no fucking way this movie came out the way it did on purpose and that it was supposed to be taken seriously. Like, guys, this is a big statement. This became the next Room.
Oh, hi, Mark.
With how seriously this film should have been taken and how, like, unintentionally funny it was and how offensive and insulting the movie was in those degrees, you just had to be there, guys. Again, my city only has one theater with 2 showings a night, and my theater was pretty packed. So guys, if you can get a showing, do not miss it. You guys, you have to be there. Like, it really felt like, for as fucked and controversial as this movie was seeming to be, like, it felt like the makers of this movie actually did get off on it. And not only that, but they actually wanted that to be the feeling, like the landing that they wanted the viewers who went and saw this movie to have. But in saying that, the makers of this movie also saw it as, like, kind of hilarious, like a comedy. It's just, there's no way this movie fucking exists. I wish I could have been at that world premiere. I would love to attach a laugh track to this movie. Guys! Fuck! Oh yeah, that's right. And as far as this movie's story, you know, the escalation, the consequences, that is not a factor of this film until, like, the last 30 to 45 minutes, which at this point is just so nonsensical and out of place as far as the disgrace of a film that we just watched for like an hour and a half now. And even more so, the fact that there are consequences in this film and the things that are considered consequences, it's just that case where you're just watching it and you're like, you're just digging a digger hole for yourself, buddy. Just stop. But one good aspect, even with this last act, and that is that Ortega definitely does act in the last act. She does offer the most as far as an actual performance, more so than she did, like, in any other part of the movie. And in saying that, this last act, with it being consequences and, like, being the wrap-up of whatever this movie was, it does feel the most, like, of a part of a story, and it feels more of, like, an actual film than it, like, of more of, like, the actual film that it seemed like it was gonna be initially and should have been. But overall, guys, I'm giving Miller's Girl a strong negative, not a complete negative, just because it is so unrealistically fucking hilarious, and it did remind me a lot of The Room, and I had a great audience experience with this film. But guys, that is gonna do it for my Miller's Girl review. I am completely wiped out. If you're one of the people that did get a chance to see this movie, you have to let me know how your experience viewing experience was. But all that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you thought about this review, your experiences with the movie down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.